everyone, so in today's video I'm going to be discussing 5 things I wish I knew before I got a hamster. Growing up, I'd always had animals around me. I had horses when I was younger, I had dogs, cats, rabbits, quite a few different animals. When I actually got a hamster, I was at a point in my life where I hadn't had animals around me for quite a long time. I'd been living in a lot of different places where I wasn't allowed to have them, or I just wasn't financially able to support having an animal at that time. I finally got to a point where I could afford to have a small pet in my life, and I decided that I really would enjoy the company once again. I did buy a hamster quite impulsively, and I definitely wouldn't recommend doing it that way. There was a lot that I wish I'd had time to research beforehand, so I thought I'd make a video to discuss the things that I wish I'd known before I decided to get a hamster. Number 1, cage size. So like I said, because I got a hamster quite impulsively, I didn't do a ton of research beforehand when I got her. I had owned rodents in the past previously, so it's not like I had zero knowledge of them, but obviously there's a lot that's evolved in terms of care in the hamster community over the years since I've previously owned rodents and stuff like that. Unfortunately, because of this, I didn't know a lot about recommended cage sizes or anything like that, which meant that I came home with this. So this is a medium wire hamster cage from Pets at Home, which measures 50 by 35 centimetres. Like I said, I didn't really know any better at the time, so I did think this was fine for her. What actually made me start researching it a little bit more was when it came to trying to handle her and start the taming process. She was constantly biting me, constantly running at me to try and bite me, and I was like, something's wrong here, I'm doing something wrong, or there's something going on. So I started doing a load of different research into dwarf hamsters and stuff like that, so that I could learn a little bit more about her and try and figure out where I was going wrong in this process. That was when I found out that it was actually recommended amongst the hamster community to have a minimum of 620 square inches of floor space for your hamster. After I'd found this information out, I decided to make her a bin cage. I didn't have a lot of funds at the time to go out and buy a completely new, really fancy cage or anything like that. So I decided to make a cheap bin cage. Unfortunately, this still was under the minimum requirements at this time, but it was a vast improvement on the cage that she'd been in previously. Once I'd saved up enough money, I decided to start having a look at some different cages and what was available out there. I ended up going for the Savick Hamster Heaven. I definitely think there are better cages out there for the money that I spent on it. I don't think it's made in the best way. The actual cage foundation itself is alright, but I thought some of the accessories that came with it weren't the greatest. After I bought the Hamster Heaven, I thought I was going to relax a little bit. She finally had a cage that was at least minimum requirements, and I didn't really need to think about it too much after that. However, she was still bar biting in this cage. I could tell she wasn't the happiest in there. She was definitely a lot happier than her first cage that she was in, but there was still signs that she was displaying that she wasn't as happy as she could be. I actually got really lucky when I found my IKEA Detolf. I managed to get it on Facebook Marketplace for £25. To buy them full price, I think they are about £60. I knew I was going to need some lids for it, so I started researching how to make lids for the Detolf, and then went out and bought all the supplies that I needed to make the lids. I didn't actually put her in there straight away as I was waiting to move at the time, so there was a little bit of a time gap in between me kind of switching them over. But once I'd moved, I set everything up, I put her in there, and honestly, she's the happiest that she's been since I've had her in this cage. She's changed quite a lot. She's still not the best hamster to kind of hold. She definitely doesn't want to be cuddled for too long or anything like that, but she doesn't try and attack me all the time now, which is definitely a positive. I've done a lot of work with her in terms of taming her and stuff, and I don't think she's ever going to be a hamster that wants to constantly be held or fussed or anything like that, but I'm happy with that. She's happy and she's healthy. I'm content with that. So cage size is definitely my number 1 on this list. I could have saved myself so much money if I'd just done a little bit of research. It really didn't even take that long, just the smallest amount of research, and I would have known that the cage I came home with wasn't going to be suitable for her, and it was not going to be where she was going to be her happiest. Number 2, taming your hamster. So I learned very quickly a few expectations versus reality situations with this. I learned that not all hamsters actually want to be cuddled 24/7. So when I first got a hamster, this was kind of what I really wanted. I wanted a pet that I could sit and cuddle with and maybe just have on my lap and give it a stroke while I was watching Netflix. Unfortunately, UA is not this hamster. Until I had my 3rd cage, so the hamster heaven. Before that, she did not want to be picked up at all. She didn't want me anywhere near her. She just wanted to be left alone. As soon as I kind of had her in that minimum requirements cage, she started to be a little bit better and a little bit more accepting of me. All hamsters definitely take a different amount of time to tame. Some of them are a lot more willing and a lot more cuddly, like I said, and some do just want to be left alone and be more of a look-at pet than a handle pet. The one thing I would definitely say about this before getting a hamster is be prepared to be content with whatever your hamster is comfortable with. So if they are a cuddly hamster, that's great, but also if they are not and they do prefer to be left alone, then you need to accept that as well. Number 3, unsafe items. So unfortunately, not everything that is sold and marketed for small pets is actually safe for them. This includes things like compact sawdust toys, fluffy bedding, or just wood shavings in general. In terms of compact sawdust toys, these can be found vastly in different pet stores around the UK. Unfortunately, these are not safe for your pet as they can cause blockages, and it's best to avoid them. One thing that you'll see a lot of the time when you go into pet stores is fluffy bedding. Unfortunately, this is not safe for your pet as the fibres can get stuck if they're trying to pouch it and move it to a different location in order to make a bed. This can end up blocking their airways, and unfortunately there are hamsters that have passed away from this. In terms of wood shavings, the main reasons why these aren't 100% safe for your pet is they can cause respiratory issues in some hamsters. Paper bedding is a lot more expensive than buying wood shavings, which is why a lot more people gravitate towards it, but it is definitely worth spending that extra money and eliminating that risk altogether. The last thing I'm going to talk about is hamster balls. So this is something that's kind of controversial in the hamster world. Some people agree with them and some people don't. Personally, I don't really like hamster balls. My reasoning for this is that hamsters have quite bad eyesight anyway, so their visibility is reduced even more when you put them inside a hamster ball. Most hamster balls also have little slits in them for ventilation, which it doesn't give great ventilation anyway. This is another separate issue on its own, but it also means that they can get their toes stuck and they can actually hurt themselves while they're inside them. They're not always the best made, so sometimes the tops can fall off of them, meaning that your hamster can escape. They can break in the middle because of the way that they fit together. Finally, I don't particularly like that you can't tell if they are running in them simply because they want to, or just because they are in a spherical item that is going to move whenever they do. Number 4, wheel size. Unfortunately, most wheels that come included with cages are not suitable for your hamster for the rest of their life. I have a 21cm wheel for my dwarf hamster as she is a little bit smaller. However, if you do have a Syrian hamster, they need at least a 28cm wheel. The reason why they need these bigger wheel sizes in opposed to the ones that come with these cages is to stop their backs from arching as they're running on the wheels, which can cause them discomfort and back problems. You can get both wooden and plastic wheels in these sizes, which will be suitable for your pet. However, if you do decide to go for a wooden wheel, I would definitely recommend getting yourself some Plasticoat, which is a water-based enamel that you can add as a protective layer to the wood. Number 5, hamsters are omnivores. So this is actually quite a fun one to discover. When I first got a hamster, I definitely just assumed that she was a herbivore. I don't know why, like I said, I hadn't done much research into it, so I thought she was just going to be able to have like vegetables as treats and stuff like that. When I actually discovered that she is an omnivore, it just opened up a whole new world. They can have such a variety of different foods that it's really fun to explore what different treats that you can give them. I would definitely recommend looking into this so that you can supply your pet with all the nutrients that they need and know what you can't feed them as well. The fact that they can eat such a variety of different items also means that there is the possibility for you making your own hamster treats at home, which I think is just a really fun idea. It's something I definitely would like to do in the future. I hope you all enjoyed this video of the 5 things I wish I knew before I got a hamster. Please like, comment and subscribe down below, and I'll see you all next time.